Hello everyone, I'm Joel Baird, the General Manager of Missoula Community Access Television, inviting you to this, our first edition of Missoula Live in the year 2018. So from all of us at MCAT to all of you in dear viewership land, Happy New Year. Kim is not going to be here with me today. She's got a number of assignments at Humanities Montana, and I saw Scott had put up her website, so I just want to show that to you folks at home. Humanities Montana is an organization dedicated to Montana's humanistic values, and they engage in a lot of activities, and at one time someone characterized it as informed exchange of ideas or just talk. Humanities Montana has a speakers bureau. They give grants for presentation and sharing events. I know MCAT's going to record an event for Humanities Montana. It's coming up pretty soon that's about fake news. So it's about that issue of what that means. You know, the term is a relatively new one, and they were going to explore from a number of perspectives what fake news might mean. Where do you turn for the real news? Is it a charge that's leveled to discredit someone, a news agency you disagree with? William Marcus, who's retired from public radio, Montana Public Television, is going to be the moderator, and MCAT will stream the event live. I think it's at Imagination Brewery sometime this week. So in MCAT news, we still have our Animation Saturday drop-in program. It's every Saturday from 1 to 5 p.m. It's $10 for the 4 hours. And we have a lot of these Legos figures, as you can see on the screen now, and they have sets. You know, they can live in rooms, they can go out in oceans, they can fly in imaginary skies, and so on. In addition to that, some kids have been doing stop animation drawing with dry erase markers. I was helping with a Saturday animation in December where somebody did that. It was really effective. So every Saturday, 1 p.m. to 5, it's drop-in. You don't have to register. You can just come along. It's suitable for kids about ages 9 to 13, somewhere in there. If your child is super precocious and really likes stop animation, works well with others, and so on. There could always be variation, and that is a serving suggestion. And additionally, for the new year, I should say, MCAT is always interested in new people starting a program here on one of our 2 channels on the Charter Spectrum system. So every second Wednesday of the month, we would have a little informal tour, and you could see what we have to offer in the way of checkout cameras, the studio that we're using right now, and editing equipment. And that's at 5:30 p.m. That's also at drop-in. And if it doesn't work for you, just give us a call at 542-6228. We'll arrange a time for you to come in and see how you too could be making your own television program on MCAT, and have to amend that to include video clips, you know, for YouTube and other social media, because a lot of people want to do that. Anyway, my first guest is here is Mary Poole, the Executive Director of Soft Landing. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Hi, Joel. Thank you.
Yeah,
it's an honor.
You're most welcome. Now, people may not know about Soft Landing. Could you give it, you know, just a few words on what Soft Landing engages in?
Sure. So we work with incoming refugee families, families that are coming through the International Rescue Committee to be resettled here in Missoula, Montana, to provide services and education for our community, and have a lot of fun.
It does sound fun.
It's really fun.
I don't know if I told you this, but my nephew and his girlfriend came to visit in the summer, and they looked around for stuff they could do in town for nonprofits, and one of them was Soft Landing.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so Sherry went over to the office on Stevens and helped with some computer classes, basic computer classes, and there was a family that had food selling at the farmer's market.
Yeah.
And Sherry and Michael both helped that family.
I remember that. Yeah, that's one of the really exciting things that we're doing. We started last summer with the farmers market, and so we're kind of helping these families that have either owned restaurant businesses before or are interested in food entrepreneurship to kind of explore that avenue through the farmers market, through direct sales, and yeah.
Yeah, it was
been
pretty,
really fun.
and I thought it was really good too. And there was a little girl there. She was so funny. Their daughter.
It's a beautiful family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how many families are you assisting right now?
There's about 35 families in Missoula currently that began to arrive in August of 2016.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And you guys could use donations, right, to continue your work and so on.
Oh, always.
Yes.
Yeah, always for sure. We're definitely just a locally supported organization, nonprofit, but either monetary donations are, of course, always great. They make the world go round. But
Right.
we also help assist in collecting in-kind donations for families. So things that are always in need are things like pots and pans and vacuum cleaners. And I mean, really, you can think about what would you need if you were setting up a home and
You
in
had
a
nothing.
place and you had nothing. And you'd had to start fresh. So we help kind of facilitate those donations as well. And we have, I think, a really great website that has a pretty comprehensive list of what that would look like if you had items to donate.
Yeah. And also, will the website give people an idea of how they could participate, as Michael and Shari did?
Yeah, the best way to figure out how to participate is to get signed up for our newsletter. And you can do that on our website. I send out a newsletter once every couple weeks, and it just kind of talks about our events, things that are coming up, different volunteer opportunities. Right now we're working with Missoula County Public Schools to get additional tutors into the school system for English language learners.
Yeah.
And it's been one of our most beloved volunteer opportunities. We started last year partnering with them on that, and it's been really, really rewarding for everybody. So doing another round of that this January.
And what languages are the people bringing to their English?
Yeah, the
learning?
IRC is resettling 3 primary languages right now. There's kind of that tricky balance between creating community and overwhelming with languages. So right now they're really focusing on refugees that are speaking Arabic, Tigrinya, which is a language spoken in Eritrea, which is a tiny country on the Horn of Africa, next to Ethiopia. I explained this because when I heard we were getting Eritrean refugees, I said, what? So,
of course.
Yeah, I'm learning along with everybody else too. So Tigrinya, Arabic, and Swahili. So we have primarily Congolese, Eritrean, Iraqi, and Syrian families here.
Yeah. And they're all learning English and all attempting to integrate into the community and bring their culture with them.
Yeah, absolutely. Not only are they excited to become Missoulians, but Missoula is excited to have them. So the chance of them hiding away and not integrating is impossible right now. We have hundreds and hundreds of volunteers that are working with these families every day, and the IRC does a phenomenal job at getting people into the workforce and into English language learning opportunities. So yeah, it's going really well.
Oh, I'm glad. And what year of operation is that?
We just started kind of the little grassroots effort that was not a formal organization, started September 2015.
Yeah. So
we've been a formal organization since 2016.
Yeah, just 2 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the offices are right on Stevens, between the junction, like between Brooks and 6th Street. I don't know. It's
right.
there.
I always describe it as on Stevens, 1 block north of Mount.
Yeah, there you go.
In the same building as Stitches.
And so people, if they're watching and they would like to get involved with a kind of, skill training, as Shari maybe did the computer lab, or if they wanted to help with the farmers market activity, best thing to do is call.
Well, actually, the best thing to do first is to get online. You're always welcome to call, but the best thing is to get online. We have a volunteer form right on our website.
Oh, there you go.
It kind of says, what you might be interested in and skills you might bring, and just fill that out. Even if you don't know, just fill it out, and we'll be in touch with you, and we'll get you set up.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, Marion, thank you so much for taking the time to come by and give us an update. And I know you've got stuff to do, so I'm going to let you go.
Got a 6-month-old that's probably hungry.
That's something, yeah. I guessed that when you wrote 6MO, and I was like,
Yeah. Well, thanks so much.
Yeah, and good luck with the enterprise.
Yeah.
And we'll be right back. You guys are going to talk about a community health assessment recently undertaken by the Missoula City County Health Department, and I think maybe you'd be interested in some of the findings. It's a very comprehensive document, so we're just going to go over a few items to give you an idea of what community health looks like in Missoula today. So Scott's going to show you a PSA, and we'll be right back after this.
Your local library, igniting the passion for reading.
How would you like to have an endless supply of books, movies, music, audiobooks, and even ebooks whenever you want? Your library card can do all that, and it doesn't cost a thing. You can pick up a library card anytime the library is open, free of charge to residents. All you need is a picture ID with your current address. The library will then verify your address, and once they have, your library card will be good for life. Library card holders may borrow several items to enjoy all at once. Be sure to check the return dates, as they may vary depending on what items you check out. It's so easy to get access to all the library has to offer, and best of all, it's free. To learn more, stop by your local library or visit their website.
This message brought to you by the Greater Montana Foundation and the Montana State Library.
Sergeant Greg Amundsen with the Missoula Police Department. I'd like to talk a little bit about bicycles riding on the sidewalks in the city of Missoula, which we see a lot because Missoula is a very bike-friendly town. I would just like to let bicyclists know that they do have to yield to pedestrians on the sidewalk safely because they travel faster than a pedestrian, so they do have to do that in a safe manner. And then when you get to a crosswalk, you are actually required to slow your bicycle down to what would be called a pedestrian pace, and you cannot begin crossing until it's safe to do so.
Hi, you guys. Robin Nielsen Sircone is here from the Health Department. Welcome and thank you
Thanks for having me.
Coming to talk about this Community Health Assessment 2017. Now, every year, the Missoula City County Health Department undertakes the
it's every
assessment.
3 to 5 years we do it, because
Okay,
it's a huge undertaking.
I saw older years,
we've
like
done
when I
two
Googled
before. Yeah, we've done the 2014 and 2011. So
Yeah,
going
that's
back.
what I saw.
And we just get better every time. So this is
Right.
an exciting document because we got to, over 30 groups worked on it all year long, all kinds of organizations.
Oh,
That's all
I'll
the
bet.
little, things on the cover there, and there's
Right.
a list inside it. But the groups together kind of like plowed through the data. The health department collected the data and then looked through it, talked about it, sorted it out, and then sent me off to do some surveys at the food bank and housing
Right.
authorities, some key informant interviews. The health department hired a great intern, Mary Parrish, to do some work in the rural communities in the county for the first time. We
Good.
really got a good look there, so it was
Because the
great.
county is so huge. I mean, I think it must be so difficult to administer on so many levels, where it has Missoula City, one of the more urban pockets in the entire state, and then very rural situations that don't fit a handy profile
Yeah.
at all.
And most of those smaller communities also don't have like Willow doesn't really have a central government or
Right.
governing unit. So there's neighborhood councils and community councils, so we work with those when
Yeah.
we can. But it's hard.
We're
to get
looking
out.
forward maybe at MCAT, we've been discussing that we do, or well, Scott does, Bonner Milltown Community Council for many years, and that was kind of highlighted because they had so many changes with the dam
Yes,
and
yeah.
the park and so on. And they're always interesting. I mean, sometimes you just don't know what's going on. I saw on their agenda for tonight, they've had a lot of thefts and break-ins.
Yeah,
Who knew?
yeah.
So the sheriff is there to talk about thefts and break-ins in Bonner Milltown.
And that's one of the reasons it's so exciting that we finally have kind of gotten we had new data available for the first time that we could get sometimes at the neighborhood level in
Yeah.
the city, and then also for the outlying communities. So for the first time we kind of have some really good specific data to start
Yeah.
with rather than just countywide data. So that's
And
nice.
I notice in the document it's about 127 pages. It is packed people at home. You can, Scott, have you been showing it? Oh, he's been showing it to
Yeah.
people at home. That there's graphs and there is mapping, that's key. And there's also often a reference to here's Missoula County, here's Montana, the state, here's the U.S. for
Yeah.
these various indicators. And I thought you did a great job at the beginning. What really caught my interest was the strengths and weaknesses, right away. And I like the way it said, this is really good, unemployment is low, but, and so on.
Well, and that really directly came out of the dynamic of the group that we were all sitting around talking, because really most of my job was facilitating those meetings.
Yeah.
And as the group is talking, it's really a testament to the groups are so engaged in Missoula and really want to do such good work that we just don't think about things right at the surface level. Everybody just like really dove in and wanted to talk about stuff. So it's true, there's a lot of things that are good, but the economy is good, but we're leaving some people behind.
Right.
Employment is good, but most of the jobs that are available are pretty low paying, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So people really thought that next level deeper, which is great.
I think that is really great. And I'm sure that you found within the health area this notion of big data, metadata. And I don't know if you want to address that at all, that the utility of this. Like I read briefly at the introduction where it said, if you're working on issues in Missoula, if you're a grants writer, if you're a business owner too, I suppose, looking to attract investment dollars or this level of employees, this contains a great deal of information that could be useful.
Well, and that's what we're hoping. We're hoping, and we know that that's what groups have used the past versions for, is some of the data to write grants primarily.
Yeah.
But we're also starting to see people use it to do some strategic planning,
Right.
some work plans, stuff like that. And we've made a concerted effort at the health department to make sure we're including more sectors of the population too. So we've, like this time, housing and jobs were there, which was awesome. The ag workers, health and services was there. Just all kinds of people that we haven't had at the table before, which is great because the conversations are way better. And hopefully you'll have more groups using this data, actually making decisions based on the data, talking about the data. We'll find
because
lots of
they
ways to
know
work
about
together.
it because they participated in it, I would assume, as well.
Yeah, and then for us too, it's great as a health department because we really find the areas where people either want us or there's an unmet need that we can really plug into, that we have those relationships already set up so that we can do that. So it's great.
And the health department does more work in that way. Like, isn't there, a discussion of pockets of poverty neighborhoods that are mapped out here is also showing those same neighborhoods there's a health relationship. If the neighborhood doesn't have sidewalks, if the parents in the neighborhood feel like its public spaces are a little cagey or shady, then the kids are kept closer to home, and the risk of those kids becoming too inactive, childhood obesity, all that, those factors march hand in hand with the built environment that the community is in.
There's been a lot of research on the way that a built environment relates to obesity, but it also relates to like safe ways to get to school and work. So it's like if you have connected sidewalks or a bike trail that goes through your neighborhood or whatever, that's more options for ways to get to work. So it just makes it more connected. Just connectivity in general is better for public health outcomes in neighborhoods.
Something.
So
and,
it's
and
really
sometimes,
interesting.
It is not even a matter of poverty, but also thinking. Now, I grew up on the edge of a neighborhood called Lake Success, and it was built post World War II, and a series of ranch Levittown-like houses. Well, they thought it was a great idea. Just not only for the lawns and a country look to this neighborhood, and these were kind of upper scale houses. No sidewalks. They thought it was a policing idea too, so that at night, if there was a car parked in the curb, that just unceremoniously ended the division between street and front lawn, what are they doing here? So a lot of money went into that in the late 40s, where it was absolutely dangerous to send anyone out to play or to try to go to school. It's gotten really interesting, and some of those things, they might not have been so dangerous then, but in an era where we drive just a ton more than we did in the 40s, suddenly, the thing to do.
Suddenly
without seatbelts against metal dashboards. It's really interesting how we are monkeys and we're very slow to think things through. We're like, oh, let's try
Well, and
this.
what's interesting to me is all that stuff started with data, because even just seatbelts and stuff, it started with them looking at the numbers of crashes and fatal crashes and what age groups were involved in the crashes and all that, and then you start to like take some interventions and see what happens to those numbers. So
then
that's the same thing we're trying to do
boys
here.
cannot get insured without their parents co-signing.
Yeah, exactly.
What else should we say about it? I mean, I thought
gosh,
it'd be interesting to let people know, but also, sometimes people take pride in their community and they want to know what goes on. And
Well,
I thought,
actually, that's an interesting thing to me. Is one of the things that to me was the most interesting things to find out and the most hopeful. Is we did a ton of work with this group talking about what's the strengths and weaknesses that exist here in Missoula. We went out and got key informant interviews for all kinds of agencies and people that weren't at the table and advocates in town. Then we went out and did lots of surveys at the Missoula Housing Authority, the food bank, and a few at the POV. And across the spectrum, people love Missoula. I mean, it is really loved kind of across the board, which is a fantastic foundation.
So in
where to start.
those instances, you were sort of surveying the working poor, the people that might occasionally need a sort of a safety net or a support system.
Right.
And you'd think, well, they'd say, this is a horrible town, I've had nothing but bad luck here, I've been homeless twice in this town. But they actually
in general,
really do love it.
we got a few of those, but for the most part, people love the setting, people love the community feel, people really love that there's a lot of services here and people that really want to help, whether that's one of our this is great buts. It's great that there's so many services and there's such a willingness to let's get behind it and help people out, but sometimes we haven't always figured out how to coordinate that the best, and it's not always clear for people where they can go. So we know where we have work to do, but what a great foundation to start from. That's what I took it.
And that dovetails into that event, every January, and it's escaping my mind.
Project Connect, Homeless Connect.
Homeless Connect,
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is great one. I think it's January 26th.
That's what I think too.
I'm not part of running it, so I don't know the details.
And just for folks
great.
at home, a project Homeless Connect is like a day of service for people that are homeless or at risk for homelessness or experience food insecurity or any other thing that makes a population vulnerable. It could be just getting old. I'll believe you me, I can feel it. Well, it's just getting older, and there's an interesting vulnerability there. But the day allows people to connect to a multitude of services so that maybe that day they can see what it is like for assisted living if they're going to move out of their house, or maybe Meals on Wheels, if it's not entirely cut, would help them stay in their home longer, or LEAP if it's not entirely cut. There's so many social services that it gets a little scary to talk about them in 2018, but they're still here or in some form.
Yeah. Well, and that's the one thing we found is that there are a lot of services and people don't necessarily know what's out there or don't realize it's like, no, we want you to use those services if you need them. We want you to get whatever help and
then the
support
people
you need.
could piece them together. MCAT is going to move into the new library, knock on wood, in the year 2020, and Holly Truitt, who runs the BIG and the Science Discovery Center, she is meeting with me for MCAT and Nick Roberts for Children's Museum Families First, and of course Honore Bray is the library director. And she's kind of sold us on this interesting sociological Kool-Aid called collaborative impact.
Oh, it's wonderful. That's what this is supposed to support, stuff like that.
Right,
yeah.
so that
those kind of efforts.
And the premise for the dear viewer at home is that social service organizations or organizations that are trying to improve the life of a community have to realize that by working together, they're working smarter, not harder.
Oh, yeah.
And that there are a lot of barriers to that, and communication, trust levels, all sorts of
funding sources, a million things,
And so we're going to try, since we're going to be all under one roof.
That's fantastic.
Right.
I think it's great.
Yeah, so it's an
really
interesting
good.
concept to say, well, you're not just going to get this one service and then isolate it. At the new food bank, I did a little show about the new food bank, and they're sort of an exemplar of this
They're fantastic.
idea.
Yes, absolutely.
There's a room that has
We met
library
there a little
materials, right? And then it has the kids can go while the parents are shopping for food.
And Power Place, right?
Yeah, and Power Place.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm starting to get this idea of groups coming together to to share their tools and efforts in a
And that's
positive
what we're
impact.
hoping to support with this kind of data, people coming together to talk about it, to collect it. Not everybody has to collect their own data, you know,
Right.
and you know, and we hope to do even better the next time we do this in 2020 or 2023,
Yeah.
depending on how many years we take, that you know, we do more work together, that we get better data together, that we've really, you know, taken it to the whole next step. So
Right, because you can
that's-
make informed decisions.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just some of the stuff in here is about population, and it's showing, you know, you can see this at home later, it's a marked increase. So the projection
Mm-hmm.
by the year 2040 for the people over,
probably over 65.
Yeah.
That one.
that one's going way up and so
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, no, it's like you have to think. It'll help us think ahead.
Right.
This kind of
I-
data.
I can see that.
Yeah,
It's-
because the other thing, the big, the group's really major concern that we talked about some was the child abuse and neglect. That's doubled in the last 5 years. The
and the
kids that
need
are
for
in foster placement.
right?
Yeah.
And are people attributing that to the availability of you know, low-cost drugs like
Yeah,
meth and
yeah.
opioid addiction that the nation is talking
That's
about?
definitely where it's all anecdotal, and even like within Child and Family Services Division, who are super helpful for us to understand this data, they said they can't like say yes exactly it attributes to this, but they really feel anecdotally like that is a lot
Right.
of what's happening.
And of course, that's where the data comes in. But I saw that spike, and it was
Yeah,
it's,
that's a scary
It's
spike,
really
so.
scary. And you know, because these are talking about kids that get totally displaced.
Yeah. Well, and one thing that's really nice about this community health assessment too is it doesn't just stop here. We actually will move into a phase of what we call the community health improvement plan, where we pull out a few of the bigger issues from here. Like we might have a group that works towards the built environment built on this. We know that we have a group that's very concerned about both the availability of childcare, especially for infants, and child abuse and neglect. So we are going to try to probably put together some kind of group that will take some action or support other groups that are taking action on these kinds of issues. So we'll figure out ways that
Right.
as a health department and as this group of community health assessment workers that we'll be able to actually move forward on some of these issues, I think.
Nice. And I know we could talk about it till the cows come home. So I don't
There's
want
so many
to wear out the
pieces, yeah.
viewers or
That's
you
very
either.
true.
But it's really fascinating. So I would say to people watching, if you're interested in Missoula, you don't have to print it out as I did. It's
No, you really
127
don't.
pages.
It's
I bet-
online, yeah.
And you can find it at the library, I should
Yes,
think.
I have
That was
drafts at the
presumptuous.
libraries. We're getting it printed out to have at the UM and Missoula Public Library. We are also, it's online in a PDF format, so easy to read. And you can find that if you search for Missoula City County Health Department reports and data. There's a reports and data page, and this is at the top of it.
Yeah.
So.
And Scott showed some of that, and he's doing it again.
Oh, great.
Like,
Yep, there
go
we go.
there, and
Yep,
then reports
there
and
it
data, and
is.
then click on it,
Yep.
and it will be a PDF, a portable document file, and you can sort of scan through it at
Yep.
home on your
you can
laptop
scan
or
it,
tablet.
You can download it, you can print it, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's great, Rob.
Yeah, thanks for having me on to talk about it.
Yeah.
It's interesting stuff. All
It
of it.
really, really is. And once again, too, we'll remind people about Project Homeless Connect in
Yep.
case somebody's watching and you feel like you might need some social service and you're really shy about it. You don't know, am I eligible, or I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
go there. This event is a very respectful, empathetic event.
a great event.
Is it going to be held at the United Methodist?
No, again, I'm not a
Yeah,
planner
right,
of
I
it, but I
shouldn't even mention
think
that.
the thing I read that it was going to be at, I think it's Zootown Community Church down on Brooks this year.
Oh, that's right.
I'm
You're
not sure.
absolutely right.
Yeah, I'm
You're
pretty sure that
absolutely right.
that's where it's at.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if you are curious about that, just Google or give us a call at MCAT, and I'll explain more about Project Homeless Connect.
Perfect.
Well,
Thank you.
You're most welcome. Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, I
And
appreciate it.
I appreciate it too, because I'm going to take this home, put it in the bathroom.
Find some interesting
find some
items to have
interesting
people
facts.
in. If you need me to give you some ideas about who to have come sit on your couch, let me know.
Right. Okay. And we're going to show you a little clip of my new Out and About show. This one, to go out, it's a pretty short show today, is Missoula Community Radio. They're located in the Union Hall on East Main Street. And there's 2 little offices there. If you're interested in that, take a look at this clip and see this new communication style called Missoula Community Radio. It is a low power FM station that opened in the last year. So I'll see you in 2 weeks' time. We'll fill the couches with all kinds of guests. Until then, for MCAT, I'm Joel Baird. Thanks for watching. So here we are, folks, in the bowels of the Union Hall building with John Van Dyke, General Manager of Missoula Community Radio. They're about to celebrate 1 year of being on the air as a community radio station in this edition of Out and About.
We wanted to create an independent voice in the community that's not connected to, well, it's not commercial radio.
Yeah.
To create a platform for folks who don't necessarily have access to the airwaves, but they can share their message with our community, and that way we're creating community. We're on Main Street as opposed to anywhere in the university, so we're kind of accessible in that way. So we're trying to make it accessible to as many different groups, people in the community, organizations that are trying to create community as well. David Max applied for the low power FM construction permit from the FCC. They release permits like that every several years,
right?
And usually they don't do them for communities as large as Missoula. Usually it's for much more rural areas, but there was a window for communities that are a little bit larger. And that was several years ago. And Zalda Petrie, our board president, found out that he had applied for the construction permit. And they realized they needed to develop a board. A few years ago, we brought together the people that we needed to put all the pieces together and find all the transmitter, the antenna parts, do the fundraising to pay for some of the pieces that couldn't be donated. And then putting the pieces together, like literally, like a giant jigsaw puzzle that runs the length of the height of the building anyway. So
Right.
And then the recruiting volunteers who want to put their message out there, share their music, share their passions, and that's where we're at now.
You know, it must be the formal name of the building. Temple in Missoula County is listed on the National Register of Historic Places effective April the 30th, 1990.
Mick Harsel, stick around to tell you a little bit more about it. Mick does a show with us every weekday around noon. It's called Union Yes.
Okay.
He's retired, but still very much affiliated with the Union Hall. He talks about union issues, things that are happening in the news or around us that impact working families, and the benefits of unions as well. And he talks a lot about the history of the building as well. So and it's always a little bit of a history lesson every afternoon.
Okay, we've just heard Joy Harjo from her letters from the end of the 20th century CD with Creation Story. Tom Waits doing Jersey Girl from his used songs 1973 to 1980.
So what are you trying to do here? Just like add a song?
No, what I'm doing here is adding vocals, and I'm not a very good computer-oriented person. I can look sports up and send emails.
Doing his Christmas show in advance.
I'm doing his Christmas show because I'm gonna be gone. Usually we're live.
Yeah. Oh, so here you'll be like, well, that was from that set. You heard this.
Right, exactly. And that's what I'm doing right here.
And John, is that one of the things you would offer volunteers? If volunteers wanted to come check out Missoula Community Radio, you would be here to give them a helping hand with technical aspects of doing their show.
Ideally, I would be able to do a lot of that. And we have people who have prior radio experience or audio editing experience, fundraising experience. We've got just a crazy wide variety of people who are involved with the station. But yeah, one of the key responsibilities I have is helping people to produce a quality show that's unique in the community.
Wow, so these are the studios.
Yeah.
And is this the program going on right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do mostly music shows. My political lean is that I provide soma for the working man and try to speak as little as possible and play as much good music as possible.
Excellent. And your show is on every Tuesday afternoon?
Tuesdays 2 to 4, Bluebird Days, Blackout Nights.
That's the name of it.
That's the name of the show.
Excellent. So what would you say, like somebody's watching this on MCAT, which is also kind of an independent media thing, and they're like, I wonder if I should have a radio show. I mean, how hard was it for you to get involved?
I mean, I've been in radio for a long time. This is my third radio station that I've worked at now.
Yeah.
So in terms of difficulty, it's just one of those things, like it's a genre. So if you know radio and you know DJing and programming, then it's pretty easy to jump into. It kind of depends on what kind of thing you're trying to do at KFGM, because there's people that put a lot of forethought and programming into their show.
Yeah.
And so it's varying degrees, I suppose.
Yeah.
Difficulty.
Because some people that could play music, or you were also talking about searching out people that would have meaningful dialogue shows about union issues in Missoula, labor and wages, cost of housing, this kind of tough discussion of are the rich in Missoula getting richer and the poor in Missoula getting poorer, what's going on, these kinds of things?
There's a great mixture, sometimes even within the same program. Saturday morning, Missoula Community Yoga Show. It's yoga on the radio, and we'll have someone playing a harmonium, talking about their travels to India, learning yoga, or
Conspiranoia Maximus.
Or Conspiranoia Maximus.
Yeah.
And it's keeps you on your toes.
So people wanting to do this, it's sort of like MCAT, right? Where we'd say, well, just get a hold of us. You guys have a website, right? People can contact you, say, hey, I'm really interested. What's the process? Do you have like a training day, a tour day, that kind of thing?
It's still kind of irregular right now, but I'm planning on doing a new training day in January.
And we have
mid to
DJ
late January,
applications outside the
Yeah.
door all
Right.
the time. People are welcome to come down, fill out an application, drop it in our mailbox.
Right. And that's, I mean, for people at home, it's right on East Main Street, across from the library, and next to the Union Club Bar. I don't know the street address.
208 East Main.
208 East Main. You can't miss it, across from the Executive Motor Inn. This is one of the ballrooms of the Union Club building. So you guys could use this space if you wanted a concert or a community meeting for the radio?
And if you've heard of Camp Days or Basement
Sure.
Fund, they've asked us to help host some events up here as well. So we've had some great shows this past summer and fall. So we had some great local bands, and Screaming Females play here. Omni was another band that came through.
It's a really wonderful space. It has so much history and character, and it has a stage.
There's a theater as well, if you want to come through
Yeah,
this
let's
way.
take a look at that other.
So my show comes up at 4 o'clock, and that's
geez.
kind of down the angle that I talk a lot more. I basically just find the best news stories in Missoula Current, Missoulian, the Indy, and the Kaiman, and share them on the air. So here's the weekly roundup of what you may have missed at City Hall.
That's great.
So, and some cultural things, conservation, easement stories, a broad swath of stuff really. But
Yeah.
it's a community station, which means we're sharing community, we're building community with members of the community, organizations who help to make this a great place to live. So we really want to invite people who are holding special events, raising awareness about community issues to come in and let us know what kind of work they're doing, what kind of events they're holding, and we want people who feel that a perspective has been missed in the media to let us know, and if they want to help out with producing something that's related to that, then we're striving to be able to provide the tools and help people do a show like that.